family didn't welcome television cameras into their home. They hope, they say, someone will recognize Donna's face in the photograph and call the Quincy Police Department.
Another mystery, this one surrounds the death of a Massachusetts sports writer and high school coach. He died in Worcester, but his body was discovered in New Hampshire 2 days later. Police say Paul Usher left his home in Upton Saturday and went to visit a couple in Worcester. He apparently died of a heart attack in a bed in their apartment. Usher's friends told police they drove the body to Hinsdale, New Hampshire, and dumped it in a field. Then they abandoned Usher's car in Springfield and returned to Worcester by bus. Now, police haven't filed any charges in the case and won't name the couple involved. Usher was a sports writer for the Milford Daily News.
He was very active in youth sports and community events of that nature. I mean, in addition to, as you know, he also did high school basketball.
Last year, he took over as coach of the girls' basketball team at Ashland High School. He would have turned 50 Monday, the day his body was found. Around the nation, the accused Long Island Railroad gunman offers up a conspiracy theory. Suspect Colin Ferguson said today there's a plot to get him sent to prison so he can be killed. He claims these same conspirators set up the murder of Jeffrey Dahmer in prison last November. Ferguson was chosen not to testify from the witness stand. His defense advisors say it's just as well. They believe he's insane. Early sports takes us from hoops to hockey.
President Bush tees off, that is, on a golf fan, accidentally. Both sides of the baseball strike face an angry Senate.
But first up, Jon Keller takes a look at the pig book and wonders, should we have one here? Firefighters in Malden have just put out a suspicious blaze at a Jewish cemetery. The fire broke out at a small building used for worshiping in the grounds of the Congregation Hardoth Israel Cemetery. This is the second suspicious fire at this site within the last few months. Police will not yet call the fire an anti-Semitic incident.
Pork barrel spending comes under fire in Washington. The nonpartisan watchdog group Citizens Against Government Waste released its 5th annual summary of questionable spending today. In tonight's Keller at Large analysis, Jon Keller tells us what they found and how the issue of government waste hits close to home.
Okay, waste in Washington may not be exactly an unusual news story, but it doesn't take much of it to get voters hopping mad. And that's got us to wondering, when it comes to wasteful government spending, how are we doing right here at home?
We'll start with college basketball. Boston College in action tonight. They're at Pittsburgh's Fitzgerald Fieldhouse to play the Pitt Panthers. And right now, it is 49-41. We're winding down in that one as Pitt looks to get even. NBA scoreboard, Celts just about to play at Golden State. We'll have some of those highlights for you later. Cleveland, an overtime winner. That's the correct score is 199. That is a final in OT over Orlando. Indiana beats Detroit. Minnesota tops Philadelphia. Chicago beating Washington in the 4th.
Well, there's plenty more to come in the second half of the 10 o'clock news. Mike Wankum tells us just how short our winter warm-up will be.
In part 2 of our Car Buyer's Guide, we'll tell you how to make financing work for you and not a bank.
Low cholesterol in food doesn't always wind up in your arteries.
And some new guidelines for parents and teachers of children who have attention deficit disorder. Well, there is a lot of talk about attention deficit disorder, and tonight there are some new guidelines. Susan's going to have more on that tonight in Life Watch.
Absolutely. The government is actually giving it some validation by bringing its attention to the condition, attention deficit disorder. It's the subject of a new government campaign. The U.S. Department of Education produced 2 videos on ADD to raise awareness about the condition. And that's Life Watch for tonight.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
Wall Street takes a run at a record. That story's still ahead.
Snow White and friends glide into the garden.
But first up, a little winter was a washout today. The next 5 days will be drier. The forecast is next. It was supposed to do something out there today. It doesn't always happen the way you plan.
No. We kind of
terribly
lucked out.
Disappointed.
I am. Real
I'm
disappointed,
sure you are.
actually, because it would have been, something for us to really talk about. No, really what happened was that the rain held off long
Otherwise
enough.
you have nothing to say?
No, well, I'll find something for the next
Mike
couple of
has
minutes.
something to say. You can count on that.
To talk about. But it really looks like what happened was the rain just held off long enough, the warm air got in here, and therefore it didn't start off as snow. It just kind of started off as rain, and that's what we've got going on out there right now. For the rest of tonight, some rain, some scattered freezing rain in those low-lying protected areas in the interior sections. 36 degrees for the overnight low, about where we are right now. Tomorrow morning on your drive into work, mostly cloudy skies, a lingering shower here and there, and That's about the extent of it. And the 5-day forecast, well, you can see what happens to the temperature tomorrow. When you start your day in the low 40s, 50 is going to be pretty easy to hit. A little sunshine in the afternoon. Not a bad day at all. Friday and Saturday, a little bit above normal for this time of year. Warming up as we head towards Sunday, and the rain that I had on Sunday yesterday, I pushed back to Monday.
All
so
right.
Good news that way,
We'll
too.
look forward to that for your sake.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
Now, as far as the one-price, no-dicker deals, it might be a good way to buy a car and avoid the negotiating process, but there may be some dickering indeed if a trade-in is involved. Incidentally, the Justice Department is curious about this no-dicker concept. Currently, they're looking into charges by some consumer groups that it's a form of price fixing. One local dealer says of the no-dicker deal, everything is negotiable.
Consumer prices climbed 0.3% for the month. Analysts say, don't worry, though. They believe it's just a temporary aberration, although also from the Commerce Department today, America's factories operated in January at their highest productivity level in more than 15 years. A new record on Wall Street, the Dow Jones 30 Industrials finished up almost 28 points to hit a new record close of 3986.17. Volume was very heavy. All the other major indexes were up as well. Analysts think the Dow will hit the 4,000 mark before backing off.
Still to come tonight, will the third time be the charm for Roseanne?
The world of Disney takes over the Boston Garden. More news ahead. Stay with us.
I'm meteorologist Mike Wankum with your traveler's forecast. Cloud cover will extend south to the nation's capital tomorrow, and out west, another heavy rainstorm will hit Seattle. I'll be back in a few minutes with your wake-up weather forecast.
Next in sports, the Celtics still on the left coast. They're playing in the Bay Area. And calling all cars, Rod Smith is now a Carolina Cougar. He's going to Charlotte. We'll hear from Rod Smith next in sports.